Welcome to my first ever YouTube episode. So it's probably a little bit awkward if you have never done something like this before. So I hope you can excuse this awkwardness for the first couple of episodes of this YouTube vlog. So yeah, I spent a lot of time today, actually first and foremost, trying to get the video setting up to date. It seems super easy, Googling, hey, vlogger equipment and how to set up a YouTube vlog, and then you get all these recommendations for tools and videos and microphone, etc. And you try to set it up and suddenly you realize, oh, that's another day of work I have to invest simply to get the technique going. So let's see. It's an experiment here for the first time. Let's see how the video works. Let's see how the sound works. I'm very much looking forward to your feedback on that. One feedback I don't need is the feedback on my German accent when I speak English. Believe me, I heard it quite often, and despite dating an American girl for more than 4 years now, it improved slightly, but I think the thick German accent will stay there for the next couple of episodes. So I hope you can excuse that too. But that being said, hello and welcome everybody. My name is Jan, and I started Holistic Triathlon just a short time ago as a little side project of mine. I want to use this first episode of this vlog today for two purposes. First and foremost, I want to give you a brief idea of why did I start Holistic Triathlon and what is it all about, what am I going to talk about, what am I not going to talk about. And second of all, I want to give you a quick introduction to myself, so that you know what kind of qualifications do I have, what kind of background do I have, why do I know something about the subjects I'm talking about here. So let's dive right in. Let's start with the first topic, Holistic Triathlon and what it is about. So how the term holistic already indicates. I would like to look in this vlog and also the other platforms that we are using, Instagram, my website that is launching soon. Let's see what kind of other social media platforms come on top of that over the next couple of months. But I would like to use these platforms to share a little bit of knowledge and insights about triathlon and triathlon training from a holistic perspective. That is a perspective that not only looks at single variables like training or nutrition or recovery, but takes them all into consideration, because at the end of the day we are a closed system as human beings, and we cannot screw up for the one and ignore the other aspects. Very often, many of the different aspects we encounter in triathlon training go hand in hand. So we have to think a little bit about how everything is connected. And with everything, I really mean a lot of varieties when it comes to our life. I mean, triathlon training, most of us are aware of, we have to train in a very specific way, in a very constructive way, not too much, not too little, the right intensities. You heard lots about that. Nonetheless, I will talk about these topics later on in this vlog and in other episodes. You also heard a lot about nutrition. I believe that everybody has a lot of convictions, a lot of ideas about what the right nutrition is for triathletes. So we will also dive into that. You heard about recovery, but then there are maybe a lot of topics that we don't talk that much about. What about mental well-being? What about sleep? Yeah? You know that sleep is important, of course, for recovery, etc. But how can you improve the quality of your sleep? How can you improve the quality of your muscle recovery? How can you improve, for example, how your training schedule goes together with your work schedule and your family schedule? These are all topics that I'm very interested in, because I strongly believe the stronger you are on the what I call the soft side, that is recovery and well-being, and the more disciplined you are about your nutrition, the better you can be on the training side and eventually on the racing side when it comes to competing and clocking in your next personal best. So that is a little bit the idea behind Holistic Triathlon. I will do this, as I said, on different platforms. These YouTube vlogs here will come out, I wouldn't say irregular, but maybe I manage to do 1 to 2 videos a week if everything goes well, simply because I would like to deep dive in every video into a specific topic and really give you a good overview of the topic at hand, how it affects you in different areas, etc. And also all the videos should be very much founded in current research and research papers, books I read, etc. So I don't want I really would like to avoid to simply just drop some opinions and you're like, okay, just another opinion out there in the triathlon world. But I would like to give you something more scientific, something that I don't want to say it's proven, but that has a certain amount of evidence to it, and something that you can then use practically in your everyday. So the other platforms, Instagram, for example, where you can follow me, you'll find the link to my Instagram profile, like in the footer of this video, in the credentials. There I will post more regularly, in best case daily, and it will be a mixture not only about the scientific aspects of triathlon, training, nutrition, recovery, well-being, etc., but also like will update a little about my own training, because at the end of the day, I might have like a coaching perspective and a lot of like diverse coaching interests, but I'm also an athlete myself. So as you can see, a t-shirt here, I will talk about it in a second. I finished like also a couple of Ironmans in my life, and I raced triathlon for quite some years. So I'm also an athlete myself. So I'm on this balance where I want to understand it from a coaching perspective, but I also want to understand it from the practical perspective of the athlete who has to convert insights into action. That being said, that is Instagram. Very wise to follow me there. Simply also like to follow my own journey. Currently, like Zero Shawnee is going to trying to do an Ironman in sub 9 next year in 2023. Let's see how this goes. long way ahead, but I always need some high goals to run after. Finally, the website will launch at some point of time. Then it's also like linked here, holistictriathlon.com. It's reserved and it's under construction at the moment. Will be simply a place where a lot of this knowledge that I try to give here in the podcast is simply written down also in text form, that whenever people have questions, whenever people have like specific interests, they can read a little bit more in detail about what's going on. So that is the whole idea behind Holistic Triathlon. I hope that appeals to you in a certain extent, and the whole concept lives of what I would say follower interaction. I mean, it's a very important like concept in social media in general, but what I would like to avoid is to be just like one of the next like influencers, bloggers, vloggers, whoever, who just like throw some content out there that nobody needs. So for me, it's like very important that when you see the videos that I'm posting, when you see the like contributions I'm bringing to YouTube, Instagram, etc., that you let me know, is it in any form useful for you? Is that like practical advice that you can like turn into action? Or is it just like another opinion that is basically worthless because it's too complicated, or it's too personal, or too individualistic, or whatsoever? So that is something I really want to invite you to, is getting in contact with me, talk to me, comment, subscribe here on YouTube, of course, because then you're always up to date when a new video comes. Subscribe on Instagram, follow me there, and really interact with me. I promise I get back, at least for now, where I think like responses and comments are very overseeable. Let's see once we hit the 100,000 followers mark, if we ever get there. Maybe a little bit about the credentials or the qualifications behind that, before we talk too much about like my history in triathlon. I give you content that I'm personally very interested in, so naturally I have some blind spots because of that, but I take my point of departure always in the content that other people already created. So I consider this more like, I'm not researching myself, I don't have any research facilities, I don't have research positions, etc., etc. I'm reading research, I'm listening to like podcasts, I'm reading books, I'm reading papers, scientific papers, to update my knowledge, and especially when I prepare for a specific topic, to dive deep into a topic and get as much like diverse input as I can. There are some shows, some books, some papers I will refer to in this vlog, and also like on Instagram again and again and again. One of them, for example, is the really outstanding podcast by Dr. Huberman from Stanford University, who really gives us a lot of insight about what's going on in our brain, what's going on in our body, in terms of how the power of mind and the health of mind can influence also our physical health and our physical performance. That is something I'm particularly interested in. So that is definitely like a big source of inspiration and input that would come up again and again. You see here also like on the side of me, books are naturally also like a great source of inspiration for me. Try to read, keep myself updated all the time to get some new input and some new ideas about how training functions, how training works. And that is the point again here. I see myself as a kind of catalyst, so to say, because there are already a lot of opinions out there. You can easily like Google the Norwegian training methods, Christian Blumfeld, Gustav Iden, super popular at the moment. What are these guys doing? And I always have the feeling I Google it and I get some buzzwords from them, but actually I don't have any idea how to implement this in my own training. It's not that like suddenly I watch a video with Olaf, the coach, or with them, and I'm like enlightened about, okay, this is how these guys got so much faster than everybody else. So it's still like a little bit of like digging deep. It's still a little bit like understanding, reading papers, trial and error, understanding the bigger picture. And I hope that I can build a little bit of bridge between these like opinions, these bold statements that we hear on the left, on the right, out there, and how to practically implement this in your everyday. Let's come to the second part. That was obviously the very hopefully somewhat concise answer to the first question, what holistic triathlon is about. Now a little bit more about me, that you have an idea who I am. So as I said initially, my name is Jan. I live currently in Copenhagen, in beloved Denmark. As I also said initially, I'm German, born and raised in Berlin. I'm 32 years old, and I started my triathlon journey about 16 years ago, when I was 16 years of age. I got inspired to do triathlon basically through my stepfather. We had back in the days like a little bit tight of a relation, and he had a very good friend of him who was a cyclist, still is a cyclist, amateur cyclist, very, very ambitious guy also. And he did like once a year like a triathlon, like an Olympic distance triathlon, simply to challenge himself a little bit, get a bit of variety in his training. So he did this Olympic triathlon, and I was 15 at the time when I heard of it, and I was basically like saying to my stepfather, okay, well, what's the fuss about it? Why are you so impressed that this guy's doing this triathlon? I mean, who cares? I mean, I was a provocative like young guy, right? Well, we betted for 10 euro. Not a big amount of money, but enough for a 15-year-old to be motivated that I will be at the start line of this triathlon. It was a Kaninchen triathlon in around Berlin, south of Berlin. And next year, surprisingly enough, I did not do the Olympic distance, but I did the sprint distance. And this was the first triathlon I ever did. 2 weeks later, I did another sprint triathlon at the Ironman triathlon, another like local legend triathlon in Berlin. And from there on, it just went on, basically. So I was 16, I was hooked. I found it super, super engaging to do these 3 different sports. I taught myself, like in the summer holidays, to swim crawl. In Germany, we learn breaststroke as first swimming technique. And crawl is basically never a topic in school swimming, unfortunately. So I learned crawl with basically these tabloids, these like big posters that are in the pools. Had a pass for the summer holiday, went just like to the pool every day and looked at it and tried to figure it out. Horrible technique, still horrible technique. Nothing changed in that regard. Just a bit faster than back in the days. But went on from there. Found myself a triathlon club. The first club was back in the days. It was called the Seesportclub Berlin-Gronau. It's now the Triathlon Club Berlin. We founded in 2009, where I started basically my triathlon career with a good crowd of young people, and went on from there. Have been a member of like different triathlon clubs in Berlin, raced locally in also like different regional and over-regional leagues. Focused very much on short distance, tried to get like as fast as I could. Was maybe never like among the fastest guys, of course. I think it was solidly fast, but never like the most talented, never really the most disciplined, I must say either. That is a little bit of a downside. And finished my first Ironman then in 2010, when I was 20 years of age, and my second one in 2015 when I was 25, and the third one quite a couple of months ago in 2022, now where I'm 32 years of age. So tried a little bit of both, tried the short distance, tried the long distance, and tried also like to be a coach. I slipped somehow into that, I think, from doing my civil service when I was directly after high school. I was the last year of birth actually that had to do like a civil service or the military service in Germany, and I decided for the civil service and did it in my sports club back then, my triathlon club, where I had a lot with the administration of the club, but also like with training the young kids. It was basically like the entrance for me to come to the coaching game, followed by doing coaching licenses and getting different coaching agreements in different Berlin triathlon clubs. Later also in one very elitist swim club. That was the last like coaching engagement I had in Berlin, where I really learned like what swimming is about, how swimmers train, not only from a seasonal structure but also from a technique structure. That was very, very beneficial also like to widen my horizon, because when you come out of this like triathlon corner, then you very often train like a triathlete and you learn how to train like a triathlete. And some small like simple things for me is like many triathletes, they do like zipper exercises. They do the zipper here again and again and again and again. And I learned with the swimmers very quickly, no swimmer is ever doing a zipper. Yeah, they laugh about this exercise because for them it's not a technical exercise, it's just like a helping tool. And I think like in recent years, like more and more articles also like in Triathlon Mag or in 220 Triathlon, I also like read an article about it, that they recommend by now to just throw the zipper exercise out of the window because it is not efficient. But we talk about these like small details in other video episodes. So I have a theoretical background in triathlon coaching. Big disclaimer, it's not up to date in regards of licensing or anything. I did my triathlon coaching license like many years ago. And because I lived in Copenhagen now for like more than 8 years, I also like never had the chance really to go to Berlin regularly to attend these like classes to update my license. So I don't have a valid triathlon coaching license, so to say, but I have a keen interest in updating my knowledge and applying it to my own training. And I think this is often much more worse than just having some theoretical education in triathlon, but be more on the trial and error side and finding out of these things yourself. What else about my triathlon career? When I was 25, I got a little bit tired of Berlin at this point of time. So I packed my stuff and moved to Portugal for a year, where I still continued like training quite efficiently. Did also like some triathlon races there. But then like a year after that, I moved to Copenhagen. And in Copenhagen, I was 25 at the point of time. I needed a little bit of a break, a little bit of a change in life. I did not manage by the time to graduate from university, despite being enrolled in Berlin in the university for many years. I never like managed to finish my bachelor degree there, which was a bit of shame. Shaming for me also like, and definitely like limiting for career opportunities. So I enrolled in Copenhagen Business School and focused from then on very much on my, what I would call classic professional career. Did my bachelor degree there like in 2 years instead of 3, rushed a little bit through it, but just get it done. And found myself a job after. Went into management consulting, and naturally that occupied a lot of my time the last 4 years. So between the age of 27 and 31, management consulting was basically my focus. So I worked a lot, not with so much travel activity, luckily, but a lot of project responsibility, a lot of hours, certain amounts of stress, naturally, how it often is in corporate environments. And unfortunately, I lost a little bit touch with the training. I should definitely have been better in these times in training and getting out and getting exercise, but I think many of you know how it is. Sometimes you have a long day in the office and you're simply too tired. And it requires a lot of internal, intrinsic motivation to get out there and do it. Then I wasn't this year not that strong, I must say. And in that regard, the whole like COVID epidemic was really kind of eye-opener for me, because I sat there in the second lockdown in Denmark alone at home with my laptop, was doing like some video calls, but was doing all this like Excel work, PowerPoint work, etc. just like in front of my computer. And I was just asking myself one question: what is the purpose of all that? And that led basically to me like leaving consulting at that point of time. I still have some freelance engagements, but this is like significantly less stressful and less amount than I had a couple of years ago. And I had the chance to restart training and getting a bit in shape again. So, and then there's this like whole story about Copenhagen Ironman that I did last year. No, this year. Sorry, apologies. This year in August, a couple of months ago. And the whole story behind this is as entertaining as it is crazy. Me and a couple of friends I met back in Berlin, we signed up for Copenhagen Ironman like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't even remember. Definitely before COVID. And we all were like, hey, let's meet in Copenhagen. Let's do this Ironman together. Would be an amazing experience, right? So we all signed up for it. COVID hits, race is cancelled, first time postponed. Second year, still not happening, still postponed. Third year, you have like an option of like referring it even further. If you're not fit, if you don't feel safe about the pandemic situation, etc. I don't know. Like, so I postponed it 2 times, 3 times. I don't even remember. And then this time was the last opportunity. I mean, it was basically like, I do it now or it's gone. And I was like very much in a business administration mindset. I was like, okay, that is sunk costs. Yeah, I paid these like $600, $500, $600 what the Ironman ticket cost. And I'm not fit. I'm not getting fit. Forget about it. I don't do it. My girlfriend then was basically not accepting the sunk cost theory. She was like, okay, you paid $500 for that. I think you should get down on your ass when you train. And that was basically at the end of the day the motivation that got me out and getting in shape again for doing an Ironman. So I started like 14 weeks before the race, getting serious again, starting with something like 3 times 40 kilometers bike a week, 3-4 running sessions, very, very easy, very low volume. And I built it up gradually after 14 weeks. You can see all that on Strava if you want. I also like link my Strava account down there, so you can see the progress there that followed with the race. And 14 weeks later, I was at the start line, and I finished Ironman Copenhagen. And it was my third Ironman, and I had a phenomenal swim. Did 101 with, I think, less than 30 kilometers, less than 40 kilometers in total training, which was absolutely surprising for me. I did, I think it was a 5:35 on the bike. I had a minor incident with the front wheel that took like 7-8 minutes out of my schedule. But let's take the time that is clocked. It's a 5:36 or something, which is an amazing effort given also here 2,000 kilometers I had on the bike maybe as preparation. No bike fitting, no training camp, etc. So that made me very happy. And then I managed to run a 4-hour marathon. I was there. The longest one I did in preparation was a 26k brick run, and I would really not have thought that I was like in that shape. And that actually, this event, this whole experience of, hey, you can do it, and you can run the marathon actually without walking, because it was a problem in my first 2 Ironmans that I basically was like, somewhere between walking and running, and did 4 hours 30 marathons. And it was like, you invested so little in that, and you got so much out of it. So you still must have like very, very good shape, and you still have like definitely kind of talent that you can utilize here. So get your shit together. Get your shit together and go out there and train. So I registered for Ironman Copenhagen 2023, just like 2 days after the 2022 edition, and said, okay, let's do it. So the target now is for next year, I want to go sub 9. That was something that was on my life bucket list when I was more like an active athlete for like a long time. That is priority number 1 for next year. And of course, priority number 2 is, and I think like a lot of Ironman athletes who are ambitious can agree with that priority, I want to qualify for Kona. Who does not want to qualify for Kona? We all want to have this one tick in our athlete career. So that is also like another focus I will have next year. So that is a little bit like in a nutshell about me, where I come from, where my motivation comes from, what my athlete, my coaching background is. I hope this gives you a little bit like an impression that I'm somewhere in between, like having a very, very high level detailed knowledge about different subjects, but on the other hand, I'm like a bit down to earth guy because I train like you train, and I would really like to bring these two dimensions together with a lot of like practical training advice. So that being said, I'm very much looking forward to hear what you think. Of course, it's more like an introduction video, so I think there's not so much like about the content to comment about, unless you want to say something about my life or my career, my triathlon career, etc. But I'm really much looking forward to publishing the next videos and to meet you here, meet you on Instagram, meet you out there, wherever, and to hear feedback. So thanks for joining in, and have a great day, and see you soon around.